Fed up of floor robes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering, no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen, and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers, and welcome to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host, Heather Tingle. Now, before I start today, I am going to do a shameless beg. First of all, can you leave me a review on wherever you are listening to this, or on Google if that is okay with you? It just means that more people get shown this to listen to, and I can help more people. And the other thing, which is very cheeky, if you are able, if you're not, that's totally okay. But if you are able and you feel that this podcast is helping you, can you please leave me a few pennies on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes? It will not actually pay for me for a cup of tea. What it will actually help pay for is the technology subscriptions I need to keep this podcast going. Thank you so much. Right, on to the episode. Today's episode, I want to talk to you about when you struggle to put things away because you forget they exist. How can you stop that visual clutter from looking unorganised and messy and, well, cluttered? Because that's what it is. Obviously, I teach you to find systems and strategies to declutter it and then put it away. But that can be really mega hard to do whilst you're decluttering. And it can feel like a step or a habit too far from where you're at now. So this episode is for you if you want things to look neater, but you don't feel that you can hide them away, put them away, and you're not ready to declutter them just yet. We all know, and I'm sure you're aware, that visual clutter is distracting, and it can really raise our anxiety. It can make us feel bad about our space. It can make us feel bad about our things. And for me now, I notice it when the Christmas decorations come after a certain length of time. I start to feel a bit jittery, and that's because my house is now decluttered. And when this stuff comes back in, it does make me feel a bit weird. However, when you're living in it, you do kind of get used to it. I'm not saying that you love it at all, but you get used to it. And also, you're so used to things being out because if you put them away, you forget them. So old habits die hard. And it also seems sometimes impossible to put things away because one, you've probably got no space for them to go away. And two, you're not ready to totally upend your house and have it all minimalist. So a good episode to listen to, apart from this one, is the Out of Sight, Out of Mind one, which I believe is episode 17. However, today's episode is going to concentrate on what you can do with the items that are like out and about. And the first thing that I tell all clients to do when they complain that the surfaces look cluttered, but they need things out because they're currently using them or they need them out to remember that they exist, is group your items together. So whatever items you have to keep things neat. So for example, a broken mug that you absolutely adore can be reused as a pen pot. Put all your pens in it on your desk. It makes it easier, and it's dead easy to take them in and out. An old takeaway container for grouping items together, like hair stuff on your dressing table. That shoe box or mobile phone box with the lid off can work really well for all sorts of things to group things together. Grouping things together stops your brain from seeing things as lots of individual items that look like clutter and starts to see things as a group of items. So instead of 20 individual items on desk, if you group them into 2 boxes, you then see 2 boxes. Now, the trick with this is to be very specific about what is actually needed right now. If it's not needed right now, then it needs to go away. Find a home for it. However, if these things are out all the time, you're constantly in use with them, then try to group them together and try to containerize them in some way. Now, the main thing with this is if you are looking at containers, they need to be shallow enough that you can see the top of whatever is in there because you don't want to have to rummage around. that you need to be able to see them very easily. So straight away glancing it, you should know what's in there, and ideally without a lid, and ideally like a see-through container. Doesn't always happen, but the worst thing you can possibly do, and I see this with clients all the time, is if you are ADHD, you start to create bags and boxes of things. And all that does is you put them somewhere and then you totally forget what is in there and where they are. And by containerizing it that way, you're just storing a problem for later and making it harder for you to find them. So, for example, I've seen things like biscuit tins, like chocolate boxes, reused to keep like things like pens and scissors and craft stuff in. And then they get moved, they get put on something else, they get shoved in a drawer, and then you've no idea where they are. So they need to be with the lid off and in a permanent space where that stuff is used. Hopefully that will help you a little bit. If you really, really struggle with knowing what you've got and where it is, remove the doors. So remove doors off your wardrobe, remove the doors off cupboards so you can see things. Now, this will feel absolutely horrendous if you've got so used to like the hidden clutter and you've just shoved things somewhere. Now, this is the opportunity to declutter it, clear it out, have things look in it a little bit easier. So what I would really like to do is label absolutely everything. Do not expect your brain to remember where stuff is, and that is even if you can see it and in your brain you think, well, I know what that is, because later on you might forget what that is. And it's so much easier if you can label it, and also not only put the words on the label but also a picture or a logo, so it's easier on your brain to know what that is straight away. So if, for example, you've got magazine files and you've got one per bill type, so you've got one for your gas, one for your electric, one for your phone, one for, I don't know, bank statements or whatever, and you're going to have these in these magazine files, your brain will look at those magazine files and just see magazine files. And you don't want to have to look at each item in there to know what goes in that magazine file. What you want to do is to be able to glance at it and know instantly that's what that is. So that means putting a sticker label on it, writing on it with a Sharpie, or even like taking a picture and printing out a logo of your bank and putting that logo on that magazine file. So straight away your brain goes, that's my bank. And I know where my bank statements now go and where I can just chuck them. One thing that works really well, especially in home offices, or if you are the type of person that has a lot going off that's paper, rather than a mishmash of things on your notice board that you kind of forget that they're there, have clipboards for specific things. So you might have one clipboard for vouchers, one clipboard for paperwork that you've got to fill out. There might be one for current timetable at school or whatever. And have clipboards with specific things on them in rows. And so if the clipboards themselves look neat, the stuff on them automatically looks neat, because you don't really look at whatever's on there. You just see the clipboards all neatly organised, and they look great. It makes you look organised, even if you're really not. Another thing that works really, really similar is hooks. Hooks are great, and I mean quite small little hooks that you can like stick in places, because this way you don't overload them. So I'm not talking like big coat hooks that you can put 50 coats on. I'm talking small hooks that you can hang things on very quickly and easily, like keys, or I'm trying to think what else I use hooks for. I've got hooks for some stickers. It's like a bulldog clip that I attach to for stickers, because I really like stickers and I do use them. So definitely using hooks or bulldog clips with a nail or a screw or a drawing pin. If you haven't got any hooks, you can use bulldog clips as the same kind of thing. One thing that works really, really well, and this is when your ADHD brains can like go full force into like creating something fun, is, have you ever seen an outline of an item, what should be in there? So for example, this works really well with things like tools. So you've got a board and you basically go round your hammer with a Sharpie marker or a paint pen or whatever, and it leaves an outline of that item. And that makes it so much easier to put that item back, provided you remember what the outline is. So don't do this on weird things that you're like, what on earth is that outline? You need to on really obvious things. But that can work really, really well. So it might be that you do an outline of your keys, for example, and a hook by your, I don't know, underneath your stairs cupboard or whatever. So when you come in, you get used to putting them on that hook, and it's a really nice kind of like visual reminder of what should be on that hook, so that you don't accidentally put other random crap on there, to be honest. And the other thing that I would really like you to consider doing, and this goes really against my inner brain, and that's colour coding things to make them look pretty. I don't really agree to this whole aesthetic thing because I think it's really hard to keep up with. However, if you've got things on show, you want them to look good, colour coding is one way to make it happen. But start with a category where things aren't moving in and out all the time. Whether it's clothes or books, bras or socks, you can be quite, I don't know, you can have a good bit of fun putting it into colour order. But just a word of warning with this one, don't be too fussy with this because it makes it really hard to keep up with. Don't try and make it perfect. So don't just go, oh, what shade of orange is this? It's got a bit of white on it. So do I put it with white or do I put it with orange? Like, just try and make it simple. So if it's got a bit of orange in it, it just goes in an orange section. It doesn't need to be like, the orange section itself doesn't need to go from light to dark orange or whatever. Or if it's a pinky orange, you don't need to think that. You just think orange, put it in orange space. Because what I don't want you to do is, if you try and make it perfect, your brain will freeze to try and figure what colour it should be in. So that's really what you don't want to be doing. You don't want your brain to freeze and feel overwhelmed. So it might just be something really, really simple, really, really quick and easy. You can think, I can do this in colour and order. It'll look amazing. Go to town on it. One of the biggest takeaways from this, though, what I would love you to do is start to stack things the same way. So what I see really frequently is a space looks really messy when actually the only thing that needs to change is the stacking of it. So, for example, if you've got a bookshelf and all your books are all vertical, and then you put a few horizontal on there because you've run out of space, that automatically makes it look untidy. So what you need to do is stack them all the same way. If that means doubling up on the bookshelves, so you've got two books in front, one book in front of the other, but they're still vertical, do that because it will automatically make things look neater for you. The same with paperwork. If you can keep things vertical, keep things vertical. It makes it easier for you to go through it. It makes it easier for you to find things. So if you can take things to be stacking the same way, ideally vertically, it will make things look neater without actually doing anything else. And the other thing I would really like you to think about doing as you go through the decluttering process is things that are kept out. So, for example, my makeup bag is always out because I do not have the effort and the energy to put it away every single morning. I put my makeup on every single day. I need it easy. Some of my makeup is out as well, to be fair. Like, I don't bother putting it back in the bag all the time. So that always has a place for it to go away, though. So if I do need to tidy it up, I know exactly where it lives. There's a massive space for it. And it's a case of plonking it all in and shoving it in that drawer where that makeup bag can live. So even if things are always out, do have a place for them. Which if you need to clean, or if someone needs to come over and you want to do a quick tidy, because trust me, when you've decluttered your house, you can actually tidy up really quickly, which is really useful. So my house, I will tell you now, my house is not always immaculate at all. I live in it. I'm an untidy person. It's going to get untidy. The difference now is if someone comes round, or I know someone's coming round, I can tidy in 2 minutes. And I literally mean 2 minutes. I can just shove things away in the places they should be. So do think about that. Obviously, it goes without saying that having less is the best way to organise it. So do keep decluttering one thing at a time. But I hope this has given you some suggestions on what you can do in the meantime. So until next time, be kind to yourself, remember you're not alone, and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour, hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.